to the Wild News Network. I'm Laura, coming at you from the north side of Chicago, and joining me, as always, is Erica from our south side studio.
Hello, Laura, and hello to all our viewers.
We are joined by a guest host, Ivan, from our WNN affiliate in the greater Chicagoland area.
Laura, Erica, always great to see you both.
As you know, it is our mission at the Wild News Network to shock you by shocking ourselves as we share the wildest news of all time. I find the stories, and Erica and our guest, Ivan, today will report them to you in real time. Erica will give us our first wild news story.
Let's see, we go to September 14, 2019 in Oxfordshire, England, where thieves stole a toilet made of gold. The fully functional 18-karat gold toilet, an art piece entitled America, was on display at the Blenheim Palace. In the early morning hours, five thieves used two vehicles to crash the wooden gates of Blenheim. They smashed their way into the palace through the window and disassembled the golden toilet. Water sprayed through the now exposed pipes, damaging the historic palace and several other works of art on display. The toilet was never recovered and believed to have been sold off in pieces with an estimated street value of $2.8 million. Two men have been convicted of burglary and a third for conspiracy to convert or transfer criminal property, and two other men involved were never revealed. Jesus, the golden toilet. Ugh. Anywho.
All right, thank you, Erica, for fleshing out that story. Now let's get to Ivan for our next wild news story.
All right, hello. Okay, we go to January 30th, 1661 in London, England, where the body of Oliver Cromwell was exhumed, tried for treason, and executed. Oliver Cromwell was one of 59 members of Parliament who, in 1649, tried and executed King Charles I, resulting in the end of Charles's reign. 9 years later, Cromwell died of urinary tract infection. What? That's a shitty way to go.
Oh.
2 years after his death, Charles II retook control of England. The Anger King had Cromwell's body removed from his grave in Westminster Hall. His dead body was tried and convicted for treason. Wow. He was tried while he was dead?
Yes.
All right. He was hung from the Tyburn gallows in chains and beheaded at sunset. Wait, his dead body? Okay. His head was spiked and on display in front of Westminster for nearly 20 years. Wow. It will eventually end up in the freak show described as the Monster's Head, and was finally buried in Oliver Cromwell's alma mater, Sydney Sussex College, in 1960. Jeez.
1960.
Wow.
So it was just on a spike for just rotting there for 20 years.
For 20 years.
That's disgusting.
And then it was taken by someone and put into it was taken by someone, and then it was found in their home, and they knew who it was, and it was gifted to their children. And one of the kids put it in a freak show, and that's where it stayed until 1960. So from 1661, that's wild.
It's disgusting.
It's nice to see that after hundreds of years, we've moved ahead as a society.
Someone hating you so much that they're gonna take your body out of the ground and then trial you while you're dead, and then still hang you, and then behead you. That's crazy.
That's a hustle.
I know.
Whatever to make money. Cheers.
Back over to Erica for our next story.
New York, August 16, 1924. Effie M. Beale is awarded a gold medal by the American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals for nursing an orphaned bear cub back to health. Deep in the Maine woods, Mrs. Beale kept house in a log cabin for herself and her lumberjack husband. One day, Mr. Beale shot a mother bear and found a cub no bigger than a kitten collapsed on her paws. Mrs. Beale took the cub home and nursed it at her breast. What the fuck? She nursed it at her breast along with the couple's own child. She received a gold medal from the ASPCA for extraordinary act of motherly devotion. End of story. What?
End of story. Sorry. I was just telling you that was the end of that. That's wild.
That'd be a tough nip. If
Right?
she's breastfeeding a baby cub. How cute, though.
Yeah.
The visuals. Love it.
For our next story, let's go to April 9th. Oh, my birthday. April 9th, 1928. In Chicago, Illinois, where Mrs. Helen Blau took her husband Matthias Blau to court for, according to the proceedings, Judge Jonas, the meanest trick he had ever heard of. Helen Blau
Wow.
had been having trouble with her teeth, so Mr. Blau convinced her to have her teeth pulled with the assurance that he will buy her a set of dentures. Once Mrs. Blau was toothless, she consisted on a diet of soups, and Mr. Blau found this to be much cheaper than feeding her solids. So he oh, that's crazy. So he, I don't know how to pronounce this, reneged on the deal and refused to buy her dentures. Mrs. Blau took her husband to court and was not only awarded 2 sets of dentures, but also a beefsteak at least once a week.
Yes.
Hey.
Go, girl.
You think one like a weekend dentures and then one for like everyday dentures?
Possibly, or maybe, going out dentures.
It's made of gold, you know.
I think the thing that's missing and why this man didn't want to get his wife the dentures was because I think the blowjobs were better without the teeth. Not only that, but it was probably cheaper to feed her.
Yeah, 100%. Although if she's just consisting on soup, she may not have had the energy to do the blowjob.
Oh, well.
I don't know. They say the broth is where the vitamins are at.
Oh my God, thank you. Those stories were a mouthful. Now over to Erica with the wildest news in sports.
All right, let's go to June 4th, 1923, New York, where 22-year-old horse jockey Frank Hayes had his first and fatal win. Wait, what? Where 22-year-old horse jockey Frank Hayes had his first and fatal win. Frank Hayes was a well-liked farm and hand-turned jockey. He was tasked with riding Sweet Kiss, a horse whose odds were not good at 20 losses and 1 win. I'm assuming that's what that meant. Hayes rode his horse to a surprise victory, effortlessly jumping the final fence, providing the odds wrong. Proving the odds wrong. This was Hayes' first win, and unfortunately, it was his last. Hayes fell sideways off his horse and crumpled to the ground, dead of a heart attack. He believed he died sometime during the race and had somehow remained atop his steed. His heart attack is speculated by some to have been caused by the excitement of the race, while others blame the drastic measures Hayes undertook in his final 24 hours to lose 10 pounds. Pobrecito. causing him to be dehydrated, overexerted, and exhausted. Sweet Kiss was given the nickname Sweet Kiss of Death and was retired from the track. Damn. Dude, boys have diet problems too.
Jockeys have to be a certain size.
Oh my God.
I think
But
he
just-
wasn't.
But just trying to lose 10 pounds, he got so fucked.
I mean, I guess he went out in glory, you know?
I
That's-
guess.
Right? I mean, that was his only win. He won.
Okay. Some people do it for the glory.
Dying. Well, I suppose, yeah, dying while doing what you love, I suppose. All right, well, on to the next.
Imagine his dead body was on that horse. They don't know for how long. He was probably like gripping it. And then once the horse stopped, I don't know. That's
Split off.
wild. Yep.
All right, now let's go to April 30th, 1993 in Hamburg, Germany, where 23-year-old number who ranked tennis pro.
No. Try that one again.
Okay.
Bruh.
Now let's go to April 30th, 1993 in Hamburg, Germany, where 23-year-old number one ranked tennis pro Monica Seles was stabbed by a crazy fan. What? Seles was on a track to win the Citizen Cup against Magdalena Malieva, when during a break in a quarterfinal, Seles bent down to get a drink of water, only to feel a sharp pain below her shoulder. She turned around to investigate the pain, and that's when she saw 38-year-old German out-of-work factory worker Günther Parsch holding a paring knife above his head. Parsch attempted a second stab, but he was detained by the crowd in the stands. Seles suffered minor injuries as Parsch had missed her lungs. Or any other vital organs. Parsch admitted to stabbing Seles because he was a fan of her rival Steffi Graf and wanted to make sure that Graf would take over the number one spot. Seles, traumatized by the stabbing, would never compete at the level again, and Graf would end up in the number one position. So he got his win.
Got it.
Parsch attempted murder charges would be dismissed based on psychiatrist's testimony of Parsch's diminished capacity, and he would be found guilty of committing grievous bodily harm, a much lesser charge. The judge in case credited the defendant's confession and his show of remorse and gave Parsch a suspended sentence and probation. That's so messed up.
Unbelievable.
That man got everything he wanted. I know this person. I heard of this Monica Seles before.
Mhm.
Dang, when was this? 1993?
1993, and he served no time.
Those Germans are crazy, man.
Yup.
Freaking son of a bitch. And he got what he wanted.
Everything.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I did not know that. And this was like we were all alive. You know, that sounds
Right.
like a story.
Yeah, you would think we would all know this or remember this, but
I was gonna say that was like 10 years ago.
No,
yeah, you wish.
no, beach. We were still in diapers. Well,
I was in high school. Thank you for taking a stab at those wild stories. Now let's track the wild news weather with Ivan.
All right, we begin in Otsechek. I guess that's how you pronounce that.
Say it however you want.
We begin in Otsechek, Serbia on June 7th, 2005, where strong winds brought clouds to the small town northwest of Belgrade. The storm clouds opened up, and instead of rain, the sky was full of frogs falling from the heavens. Really?
Wait, what?
Miraculously, the frog survived the terrifying free fall and hopped off in search of water. The amphibians were not native to this area of Serbia and were believed to have been swept up in a tornado-like wind and traveled several miles through the sky before descending on the people of Otsechi.
Wild.
Wait, I'm so confused. So it rained frogs?
It rained frogs. And it wasn't even like the rapture or anything like that.
Nope.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
From
you
the
hear it?
sky or from like a cliff or what?
It says here they believe it was swept by like a tornado-like wind. The sky. That's crazy.
Okay.
You know, I just saw recently, they were warning people, I think it was Japan or China, that if you less weight than like 110 pounds or something like that, you should be careful because like the winds were going to be so strong that you could be blown away.
Well, the only person that may have a problem is you because you are staying on the ground, okay?
I'm going to walk right through that and not even notice.
Apparently I have a little person problem. Somebody told me that at work once.
I feel
It's
safe.
raining Ivan.
Sick.
All right. For our next wild weather news story, we go to January 12, 2010. Port-au-Prince, Haiti, where at 4:53 p.m. at a 7.0 magnitude earthquake leveled the epicenter of Léogâne and turned most of the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince to rubble. The 7.0 earthquake was immediately followed by two aftershocks with magnitude 5.9 and 5.5. The aftershocks continued for several days. This included another 5.9 magnitude shock 9 days later on January 20th, just 35 miles west of the capital. Haiti was still in the process of recovering for several storms and two catastrophic tropical storms when the earthquake hit. The country was unprepared for the catastrophe, and 3 million people were affected by the quake. 1 million were left homeless, and looting was slowly becoming a problem. This was exacerbated when several thousand prisoners escaped the damaged penitentiary. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Poor Haiti, dude. Hospitals were unusable and morgues quickly reached full capacity. Bodies were stacked in the streets and eventually buried in mass graves. The lack of equipment to search for those trapped under the rubble made the initial death toll hard to count, but Haitian officials estimated that 316,000 people have been killed in the earthquake and aftershocks. 2 years after the quake, more than 500,000 people remained in tents. As of 2020, 32,788 people remain in displacement sites throughout the country. Holy shit. Talk about bad.
That's crazy. That's so sad.
Not
Yeah.
crazy.
Like, the craziest part is, like, there's places that just sucks to live at. You know, it's like, why would you live in a place like that? And it's just, ugh. And it's hard, you know, some of these people can't get away. It sucks.
Right. They have no choice.
Yeah. That's
And then there's no infrastructure. There's no, yeah. What
like
a
the
mess.
people that live in Florida. Like, why would you live in Florida? You're fucking gets destroyed all the time. Anyways, that's
Yeah, and apparently in Haiti too, they did do like charitable work to try to get them help. But the problem was the people in charge did not do a good job dispersing the finances. So the money never got sent where it was supposed to go. And
Oh, wow.
it just became a huge clusterfuck.
somebody's
And that's
running
why
away.
in 2020, there was still over 32,000 people living in tents.
Jesus. There's corruption everywhere, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, man.
Our final weather news story comes from the state of Virginia, where Shenandoah Park Ranger Roy C. Sullivan will be entered in the Guinness Book of World Records as the human lightning conductor. Is that right? Can you just go into the Guinness World Record for anything?
Apparently, I mean, if you beat this, you'll get in.
All right. The nickname Spark Ranger was first struck in April of 1942. The bolt burned half an inch strip along his right leg, where it struck his toe, causing him to lose a toenail and left a hole in his shoe. He was struck again on July 1969, this time losing an eyebrow. Wow. Again in July 1970 in his left shoulder. April 1972, he was struck again, causing his hair to start fire. Wow. August 1973, he was hit again. He suffered body burns. His shoe was knocked off and his hair was again on fire. God hates this guy.
Keep going.
June of 76, he was struck by lightning in the ankle while on a hike. After his sixth strike, he retired from the Forest Service in the hopes of reducing his chances of another lightning strike. However, on Saturday 25th of 1977, Mr. Sullivan was once again struck by lightning while out fishing. He claimed the smell sulfur and that the hairs on his arms stood up before the bolt struck his head. The 100 million volts traveled through his body, burning his chest and stomach, and for the third time, setting his hair on fire. He is the only man in recorded history to survive 7 lightning strikes. That's
Dang.
insane.
That is insane.
Like, how do you prepare for that? I guess you can't, right?
You can't. There's absolutely no way. Like, how did that happen?
He's hated. He did something.
Yeah.
Apparently, in his personal life, like his friends and family were afraid to be around him in a thunderstorm. So he became kind of lonely. it definitely affected him. And yeah, it was crazy. Just bonkers. His hair was on fire 3 times, you guys.
Damn.
That's pretty.
Damn.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't include this, but I'm going to tell you guys. In 1983, he killed himself.
Oh, shit. Dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so sad. Is it because
Yeah.
he was scared of getting hit by lightning, or he was just?
I bet. I don't know. They don't say. I mean, I'm sure he had medical issues. He lost an eyebrow. This man was a mess.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow, that
his
last story was,
PTSD. His
that
PTSD.
last story was striking. Now that we're shook up, let's work headlines in entertainment with Erica.
All right. I will take you to Beverly Hills, California, to the bungalow where screen goddess Lana Turner lived with her 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl, and the stabbing of gangster Johnny Stoppanato. On April 4th, 1958, at 9 p.m., Miss Turner and her off-again boyfriend, Mr. Stoppanato, were in Lana's bedroom in the midst of another tumultuous fight. Lana screamed at Stoppanato to get out of her house. Stoppanato replied with the violent threats. He shouted,
"You'll never get away from me. I'll cut you good, baby."
No one will ever look at that pretty face again. It was 9:20 p.m. when Turner's daughter, 14-year-old Cheryl, knocked on her mother's bedroom door. She said she needed to talk to them both. Lana opened the door and Cheryl saw that Johnny had his hands up in a threatening manner at her mother's back. Cheryl walked zombie-like into the room. She took the butcher knife she held in her hand and stabbed Stoppanato in his stomach. A horrified Stoppanato looked at Cheryl and said, "What have you done?" before falling to the floor. Cheryl placed the knife on a nearby marble table and ran screaming from the room. Lana had not yet registered what had happened. Turner saw no blood, and only after she lifted Stoppanato's shirt and saw the deep cut did she realize Cheryl had stabbed him. After attempting to ruse Mr. Stompanato to no avail, Lana took the knife to the bedroom and rinsed it in the sink. She then called her mother, Mildred Turner, and asked her to call the family doctor. By this point, Cheryl had already called her father, Stephen Crane. He was the first to arrive. Cheryl confessed to her father through tears that he had stabbed Stompanato. Mildred arrived shortly after and took Cheryl to her room to console her. John McDonald, the family doctor, entered, and after a brief assessment of the body, he told Lana to call her lawyer. Johnny Stompanato was dead. Yeah. Lawyer Jerry Gisler arrived and was believed to have brought Fred Otash with him. Otash was an unscrupulous PI, best known for wiretapping Marilyn Monroe's house during the involvement with JFK. It was after the arrival that the police had an emergency services were called. Reporter James Bacon caught wind of the activity over police scanners and infiltrated the crime scene by posing as an assistant coroner. At 10:50, an hour and a half after the stabbing, Chief of Police Clinton Anderson arrived, and according to Bacon, the chief blew his stack. When he saw the reporter, the PI, and the lawyer were on the scene before him, Cheryl was taken into custody and held in juvenile detention center, where she kept a brave face for her parents, but she was being relentlessly harassed by the other delinquents. She remained in custody under her trial. The newspapers had created a circus with the story. They spoke to Stampanato's brother, who claimed that Stampanato's brother, who claimed that this was a setup and that there was no way a 14-year-old girl could have taken out his tough guy, ex-Marine brother. He wanted Lana Turner to be investigated and accused her of Stampanato's murder. The headlines were scandalous and fueled the excitement of the upcoming trial. The day the Inquisition, the streets were lined with spectators. Stampanato's boss, known mobster Mickey Cohen, was the first to take the stand. He was asked if he had identified Johnny's body. Cohen responded, "I refuse to identify him as John Stompanato Jr. for the reason that I may be accused of his murder." Chief Anderson had to be called to testify. He identified the body as Stompanato. Cheryl was excluded from testifying in open court due to her age, but her statement was read aloud and had remained unchanged. Next, Lana Turner took the stand. She stayed calm and collected amid numerous attacks on her relationship with Stompanato, as well as many other men. She kept to her original statement from that night. Both Cheryl and Lana's statement matched and remained unwavering. Police Chief Anderson was called back to the stand, where he stated that no fingerprints were found on the knife and the only few dime-sized drops of blood were found around the body. He disputed that Underworld's refusal to believe that Stampanato's death was caused by a child by describing the incident as a surprise and accident brought about tough, muscular. Wait, what?
As quote surprise.
As quote surprise and accident brought about tough, muscular Johnny's sudden death. The distraught child caught him off guard. After several witnesses were called to the stand, all providing puzzling angles to the story that would be contemplated for years to come, the coroner was called as a final witness. The coroner explained that the single stab wound had severed the liver, the portal vein, and the aorta. He said that the wound should show that the knife had been held upside down with the sharp end up. He stated that during the autopsy, he found that Stompanato was suffering from a severe liver disease and had only about 10 more years to live. At the conclusion of the inquest, a spectator shouted, "Lies, lies, all lies." The mother and daughter were both in love with Stompanato. What? The mother and daughter were both in love.
Somebody's yelling this in the courtroom, so keep yelling it. Start over.
Lies, all lies. The mother and daughter were both in love with Stompanato. He was better than any of them. Johnny Stompanato was a gentleman. After 25 minutes, the jury returned the verdict, justifiable homicide. Cheryl Turner was released to the custody of her grandmother while an inquisition into her mother's delinquent lifestyle was conducted. It was determined that Cheryl would remain in her grandmother's custody indefinitely. To this day, many believe that Lana killed Stompanato and let her daughter take the fall. I don't know.
Ooh, right?
That sounds
No fingerprints on the knife.
sounds suspicious. Just saying. That was a long one.
I told you that was gonna be a long one, but it's kind of good tea. Cause what?
What?
Thank you both so much for sharing these wild stories. It was great to have you with us, Ivan. From golden toilets, lightning strikes, to dead jockeys and breastfeeding bear cubs, this has been the wildest Wild News Network episode yet. Join us next time for even wilder news. If you are amazing subscribers and an upcoming episode of WNN with me and Erica, let us know in the comments below. Bye. All right, and then we'll get back on. Do you